Welcome to Stained Glass Bones, where we explore the mysteries, legends, and hidden histories that echo across time. Today, we're diving into one of the strangest and most tantalizing finds among the Dead Sea Scrolls. A copper document that might just be the world's oldest treasure map. If you're fascinated by the forgotten, the mysterious, and the extraordinary, make sure to like this video, share it with fellow history seekers, and subscribe so you never miss the next story carved out of the past. In the windswept desert along the shores of the Dead Sea, archaeologists once uncovered one of the most intriguing mysteries of the ancient world. Hidden in the cracks of a cave, unlike anything else found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, lay a document that did not speak of prophecy or law or hymns of devotion. It was written not on parchment nor papyrus, but inscribed upon sheets of hammered copper. It was not a religious text at all, but something that has captivated treasure hunters and scholars alike for decades. A list of treasure. This is the story of the Copper Scroll. The year was 1952, and in Cave 3 at Qumran, near the Dead Sea, Bedouin explorers and archaeologists came upon two brittle, corroded rolls of copper alloyed with a trace of tin. The metal was so oxidized that it could not be unrolled without shattering. Only by cutting it into strips could the writing be revealed. What they found astonished them. Unlike the poetic and sectarian scrolls found elsewhere at Qumran, this was a stark, matter-of-fact inventory. In Hebrew, it listed the hiding places of 64 caches of gold, silver, and sacred vessels. The Copper Scroll speaks plainly, almost like a set of instructions. It describes treasures hidden under the steps, in the cistern, at the spring on the northern side. There is no allegory, no moral teaching, no parable, just directions, quantities, and places. And the quantities themselves are staggering. One entry mentions 900 talents of gold, nearly 30 tons. Another describes 17 talents of gold hidden beneath a great stone by a cistern. In total, if the text is taken literally, it records perhaps the largest treasure hoard ever described in the ancient world. Consider one example. In the ruin which is in the valley of Achor, under the steps leading to the east, 40 talents of silver are hidden. That amounts to more than a ton of silver, casually noted as if awaiting retrieval. Another entry directs the reader to an underground passage in a court, 13 cubits down, where hundreds of talents of gold were supposedly stored. The Copper Scroll even ends with a curious twist, a final entry that does not list treasure at all, but another copy of the inventory itself, hidden away separately, as if ensuring the record would never be lost. But if the Copper Scroll lists treasure, whose treasure was it? And who wrote this extraordinary document? The answers are uncertain, but several theories have emerged. Some argue it belonged to the Qumran sect itself, often identified with the Essenes. Yet this theory strains under the weight of the treasure itself. The Essenes were not wealthy. Their writings suggest disdain for worldly riches. Could they really have hidden away tons of gold and silver? Others believe the scroll came from Jerusalem's priesthood. The quantities and items described, ritual vessels, precious metals, fit the wealth of the temple. In this view, priests loyal to the temple may have hidden the treasures away during the Jewish revolt against Rome in the 1st century, hoping to preserve them before Jerusalem fell in the year 70. The Copper Scroll, then, would be a map left behind for the faithful to reclaim what was once holy. Still, another possibility is that the treasures belonged to the Hasmonean or Herodian rulers, dynasties that controlled Judea before the Roman destruction. Herod the Great, in particular, was fabulously wealthy, and his building projects drew upon immense resources. Yet the Copper Scroll contains no royal language, no marks of kingship, just bare instructions. A more dramatic theory looks further back, to the First Temple of Solomon. Could this be the wealth of the temple carried off or hidden away before the Babylonian conquest in 586 BCE? The sheer amounts do seem more in keeping with the legendary riches of Solomon than the more modest Second Temple. But here the evidence falters. The Hebrew of the scroll and the forms of its letters belong not to the 6th century BCE, but to the late Second Temple period, around the 1st century CE. Of course, there is also the possibility that the copper scroll is not literal at all. Some scholars suggest it was a symbolic document, a kind of sectarian allegory for future restoration, a vision of treasures awaiting the faithful. But again, the text resists this. Where other Dead Sea Scrolls are heavy with metaphor, the copper scroll is stark and practical. It does not sound like poetry. It sounds like an inventory. So what became of these treasures? No one knows. Archaeologists, adventurers, and treasure hunters have scoured the Judean desert, but no hoard has ever been found. The directions are tantalizing but maddeningly vague. Landscapes change, ruins crumble, cisterns collapse. What might once have been clear to a priestly scribe in the 1st century is now a riddle in stone and sand. Yet the mystery endures. Was the copper scroll a real map to the temple's wealth, hidden away before Rome's legions marched on Jerusalem? Was it a record of riches already looted in antiquity, copied and secreted at Qumran? Or was it never meant to be taken literally at all, but preserved as a kind of imagined inventory of what holiness and faith deserved to recover? Today, the copper scroll rests not in the desert, but in the Jordan Museum in Amman. Cut into strips for preservation, it is still legible, still commanding attention with its blunt, almost bureaucratic tone. Unlike the prophecies and hymns of its companions, it whispers of cisterns, stones, and buried wealth. It remains the only Dead Sea Scroll that reads like a treasure map. A map to riches that may have been real, may still lie buried beneath the sands of the Judean desert, or may be nothing more than the echo of a lost people's dreams. And so, the copper scroll holds its silence, a riddle of metal, a list of wonders, a voice from the past that continues to provoke both hope and doubt. Perhaps the treasure is gone, perhaps it never was. But the mystery, that remains, waiting for those who still dare to search. The copper scroll has kept its secrets for nearly 2,000 years. Whether it is truth, allegory, or a treasure lost to time, it continues to remind us how much of history lies buried, waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed this journey through the sands of the Dead Sea, and subscribe to Stained Glass Bones for more tales where legend and history intertwine. Until next time, keep searching the shadows of the past.